Howdy there. This is Twilight Flare. This is going to be the first reading of my new series, Let's Read My Little Pony fanfiction. Basically, it's not like a. If you're new to this, it's not like a typical audiobook. It's basically more like a Let's Play, kind of. Very little editing, just a one shot. I'm sitting down here, I'm reading a pony fanfic, and there you have it. Very simple, very straightforward. Going to be plenty of mistakes, plenty of silliness. I hope we have a good time, though. All right, let's get started. The first story that we're going to be visiting today is called Fluttershy and Celestia Play Chess by BronyWriter. And because I like to make a habit of reading the description first so that people can know whether or not they're interested in listening to me read this or what have you, I can kind of consider that a part of the experience. When the main six go to see a Wonderbolts show in Canterlot, Fluttershy decides to not go, as crowds of that size make her too nervous. So Celestia decides to spend the day with her instead, while her friends are away. The two decide to play a few simple games of chess to pass the time. And that's it. First chapter, or only chapter, actually, is just a simple game. Here we go. Twilight and her 5 friends were all moving around a large suite in the Canterlot Castle, unpacking from a long journey that they had started early this morning. They had to be at the train station at 7 in the morning to catch the train that would get them to Canterlot to see the Wonderbolt performance. At the moment, the #1 fan of the Wonderbolts was pleading with her yellow Pegasus friend. "Come on, Fluttershy. It's the freaking Wonderbolts. Don't you want to go see the Wonderbolts perform in Canterlot?" said the incredulous Rainbow Dash. Fluttershy shook her head. "Of course I would. It's just..." "Just what, darling?" said Grody, who had stopped unpacking long enough to listen in on the conversation. Fluttershy turned away from her friends for a brief moment and hid herself in her mane before mumbling something. Twilight sighed and walked up to her. "Fluttershy, we're your friends. Just tell us why you don't want to go," said Twilight. "I'm afraid of large crowds," she suddenly blurted out. Rainbow Dash groaned. Let me try that again. "I'm afraid of large crowds," she suddenly blurted out. Rainbow Dash groaned. "Oh, so it's large crowds you're afraid of now," she said irritatedly. Fluttershy nodded. "I just hate how trapped I feel in large crowds like that. I don't like it when the flow of the crowd is controlling where you go. I don't like the noise. I hate large crowds," said Fluttershy. Rainbow Dash face huffed. "Isn't it worth a few hours of large crowds to see the Wonderbolts perform?" asked Rainbow. "No, Rainbow Dash, no it isn't," said Fluttershy. "I don't want to go, and that's final." She blushed and shrank back again. "I mean, if it's okay with you, I guess." "But Fluttershy," said Twilight pleadingly, "what are going to do while we're gone?" "Oh. What are you going to do while we're gone? Do you want to just sit around and wait for us to walk around Canterlot aimlessly for a few hours?" "Maybe I can help with that," said a serene voice from behind them. The 6 friends turned around and gasped when they saw Princess Celestia standing behind them. Instantly, all 6 of them dropped to their knees, which prompted Princess Celestia to roll her eyes. "Oh, don't grovel," she said. "If there is one thing that I can't stand, it's ponies groveling." The 6 stood up and looked embarrassed. "Sorry," said Twilight with a nervous smile before she regained her composure. "So, what were you saying, Princess?" "I was coming in to check on you 6, and I heard about Fluttershy's predicament." "I heard about Fluttershy's predicament. It seems that she really is set on not going," said Celestia. "Well, she still should," mumbled Rainbow Dash angrily. Celestia ignored the comment. "So, I think I can help out with that. You see, I have a few hours from... You see, I have a few hours off from running the country, and I think that it would be a perfect opportunity to hang out with Fluttershy to get to know her better if she truly does not want to attend, said Princess Celestia. Fluttershy brightened up slightly. You want to spend some time with me? She asked incredulously. Celestia nodded. I can only spare a few hours, but I can certainly keep you company while your friends are off at the Wonderbolt show. Is that something you would enjoy? She asked kindly. Fluttershy nodded shyly, and Celestia gave her a warm smile. It's settled, then. The two of us will spend some time together while your friends are off at the Wonderbolt show. Speaking of which, chimed in Rarity, we must leave for that now if we're going to make it to our seats before the show begins. Yeah, said Rainbow Dash. We should really get going then. The five friends filed out of the room with Rainbow at the tail end of the line. Before she exited the room, she looked back at Fluttershy and sighed. I'll bring you back a hat or something, she said. Fluttershy waved her out at the door, and Rainbow shook her head before exiting the room. Celestia turned back to Fluttershy. Well, now that you're gone... now that they're gone, what would you like to do? She asked. Fluttershy shrugged. What did a pony do with a few casual hours with the most powerful pony in existence? I don't really know, she said quietly. Celestia gave a small chuckle. I'll tell you what. My sister and I have a private entertainment room in the castle. Just a bunch of games and books and the like. Do you want to check that out? Maybe there's a board game we could play or something. Fluttershy smiled. If Celestia was going to board games this early, then clearly she didn't know what to do with their time either. All the same, she nodded to Celestia. I'd like that, she said. It could be fun. Celestia smiled back and nodded. Then let's go, she said. Princess Celestia walked up to what appeared to be a blank wall in the palace. Well, here we are, she said happily. Fluttershy looked at it confusedly. But, this is just a wall, she said. When I say it's a private entertainment room, I mean private, she said. Before Fluttershy could comment on it further, Princess Celestia fired up her horn and fired a spell at the wall. Immediately the bricks themselves began to dissolve in front of Fluttershy's eyes, and a doorway was revealed in mere moments. Fluttershy looked at the door in awe. It really was a simple wooden door, but such a door could not have asked for a better entrance. Well, said Celestia, as she opened the door, welcome to the game room. Fluttershy followed Celestia into the room, and her jaw immediately dropped at what she saw. The room was absolutely gigantic, and each wall was absolutely covered in shelves of all shapes and sizes. Fluttershy examined them to see hundreds of books on every subject that she could possibly imagine resting proudly on the shelves. On another wall, there was every single board game that Fluttershy could think of, as well as hundreds that she had never heard of before. However, the main attraction of the room was a gigantic invention that Fluttershy had never seen before. She cocked her head and walked over to it. What is this? She asked Celestia. As she asked, Celestia smiled. This is called a television, she said. Luna and I used to watch movies because television channels have not been invented yet. Fluttershy looked confused at Celestia. Okay, she said. None of that made a word of sense to me. Well, let us put it this way. Well, let us put it this way, said a voice to their left. Sometimes we abuse the time spells just a tad. Fluttershy and Celestia looked at the source of the noise to see Princess Luna reclining on a couch, her nose buried in a newspaper. Oh, no. Her nose buried in a paperback novel. Wow. Okay. Her nose buried in a paperback novel. Oh, hey, Luna, said Celestia casually. What are you reading? And then there was none. And then there were none, said Luna. Ah, yes, one of my favorites, said Celestia fondly. Fluttershy made a mental note to repeat this information to Twilight. There was no way that she would not want to know that. Uh, hello, Princess Luna, said Fluttershy bravely. Luna looked up from her book and gave Fluttershy a casual wave before returning back to her book. So, said Celestia, turning her attention back to Fluttershy, what would you like to do? Fluttershy looked at the shelf of board games and scanned them. Good gracious, was the choice intimidating. Once more she questioned what board games would one play with the sun goddess of Equestria. Suddenly her eyes fell on one and she smiled. How about we play that one? She said, pointing at the game in question. Celestia walked over and looked where she was pointing. Oh, you want to play chess? Well, of course we can, she said. Luna looked up from her book and frowned at Celestia. Oh, Tia, must you do that to her? You know... Scrolling down. Yes, Celestia, said Celestia, waving away Luna's protests with a hoof. I know, but she wants to play, so we'll play chess. Luna rolled her eyes and returned to her book. Celestia used her magic to bring the game down from the shelf before she directed Fluttershy towards the large table and a pair of extremely comfortable-looking chairs. She sat down on one of the chairs. It was even more comfortable than it looked, before Celestia sat in the chair across from her. With one short spell, the entire board was set up in an instant. So, Fluttershy, would you like to be the white or black? Asked Celestia. Oh, well, I guess it's up to you, she said as she examined the board. It was just a plain chessboard with ordinary plastic pieces. Celestia used her magic to pick 2 pawns off of the board before she flared out her wings and put the 2 pawns behind them. She moved them around for a moment before focusing on Fluttershy again. Okay, which wing? She asked. Right wing. Celestia lowered the wing to reveal the white pawn, and she placed it back on the board before spinning the chess set so that the white pieces were in front of Fluttershy. White goes first, said Celestia. Fluttershy nodded, and moved the pawn in front of the queen, ahead 1 space. So, Princess, said Fluttershy, as Celestia made her move, I've always, well, been kind of curious. About what, Fluttershy? Asked Celestia. Well, so we've saved the world twice now, and I'm just kind of curious why no pony seems to recognize who me and my friends are outside of Ponyville. I mean, not that I'm a glory hound or anything. I was just curious about that. Celestia smiled fondly at her. Before I answer that, checkmate, said Celestia. Fluttershy looked down at the board. Ah, yes, the 4-move checkmate. Oh, come on, Tia, scolded Luna. No, it's fine, really, said Fluttershy. You can't win them all, I guess. Would you like to play again, Fluttershy? Asked Celestia. Fluttershy nodded, and Celestia used her magic to reset the board. Fluttershy once again moved the pawn in front of the queen out 1 space, prompting Celestia to copy her move. To answer your question, Fluttershy, my sister and I did in fact do some cover-up work on those incidents. But why? Asked Fluttershy as she moved her king aside bishop 2 spaces. Well, for the exact reason that you just mentioned. You are not a glory hound. You just want to live a peaceful life in Ponyville with your animals, correct? Well, yeah. Exactly. If every pony in Equestria knew who you 6 were, what you had done, then I wonder if you would ever have a moment of peace to yourself. Your deeds would become the thing of legends in your own time, and you would be worshipped as gods for doing what you did. I guess that makes sense, said Fluttershy, as she moved her king-side rook 3 spaces to the left.